For years, the world has known Barry Gibb as the voice behind some of the biggest songs ever. The man who kept the Bee Gees alive through fame, loss, and everything in between. But there's a story he's never told until now. A story about the one person who's been with him through it all. His wife, Linda. People see Barry as the last Bee Gee standing. The guy who wrote music that made millions dance and cry. But he says none of that would matter without her. He's lost his brothers, faced the wild ride of stardom, and carried pain most can't even picture. Yet he's always stayed quiet about the woman who held his hand through every step. Tonight that changes. After more than 50 years of marriage, Barry is finally ready to talk about Linda Gray Gibb, the woman he calls his rock, his heart, and the reason he's still here. This isn't just about a famous singer looking back. It's about a man who's scared, grateful, and desperate to make sure the world knows the truth about the love of his life before it's too late. Their story starts way back in 1967, when Barry was just 20 years old and trying to make a name for himself with his brothers, Maurice and Robin. They were on a TV show called Top of the Pops in England, singing their hearts out, when he saw her, Linda Gray, a 17-year-old girl from Scotland, with a smile that stopped him cold. He was nervous that day, unsure if the Bee Gees would ever be big, but something about her made him feel steady. They didn't waste much time after that. They started dating, fell in love, and by 1970, they were married. It was the start of something that would last over 5 decades, through all the ups and downs of his crazy life. Barry says he knew right away she was special, not just because she was pretty or kind, but because she had this quiet way of making everything better. Back then, he had no idea how much he'd need her, how she'd become the one thing he could count on when the world turned upside down. Life got wild for Barry after that, and not always in a good way. The Bee Gees took off in the 1970s, and suddenly they were everywhere. Hit songs, sold-out shows, and more money than they knew what to do with. But fame brought trouble too. There were parties that lasted all night, drugs that pulled him in deeper than he wanted, and moments where he lost himself completely. He admits he wasn't always the husband Linda deserved during those years. One night in Miami, around 1979, he came home a total wreck, couldn't even stand up straight, and he thought she'd finally had enough. But she didn't leave, she didn't even shout, she just sat there with him, held his hand, and told him they'd get through it together. That's who Linda was to him. Not someone who judged or gave up, but someone who stayed, no matter how messy things got. Barry says those tough times showed him what she was really made of, and it's a strength he leaned on more than anyone ever knew. Then came the losses, the kind that rip a person apart. Barry's little brother Andy died in 1988, way too young at just 30, and it broke him. Linda was there, holding him up when he couldn't stop crying. Years later, in 2003, Maurice was gone too, taken by a sudden illness, and half the Bee Gees were missing. Barry didn't know how to keep going, but Linda kept the family together, making sure their kids had a normal life while he grieved. The hardest blow was Robin in 2012. Cancer took him, and Barry felt like the ground disappeared under his feet. He'd lost all his brothers, the boys he'd made music with since they were kids, and he thought he'd lose himself too. But Linda wouldn't let him fall apart. She'd sit with him for hours, sometimes not saying a word, just being there while he tried to make sense of it all. Barry says she was like a shield for him and their 5 kids, Stephen, Ashley, Travis, Michael, and Alexandra, keeping them strong when he couldn't. Without her, he's sure he wouldn't have made it through those dark days. Now here's the part Barry's been afraid to say out loud. The reason he's finally talking after all this time. Linda's not okay. She's been sick for a while, and it's not something small. Though he doesn't say exactly what's wrong, you can hear the worry in his voice. He's spent years singing on stages, smiling for crowds, acting like everything's fine. But behind it all, he's been watching her fight. They've been to doctors, spent nights waiting for news, and he's held her hand tighter than ever, scared of what might come next. He's lost so much already, his brothers, pieces of his past, and the thought of losing Linda is something he can't even put into words. He feels guilty for not talking about this sooner, for keeping her struggle private when she's given him so much. But Linda doesn't want anyone feeling sorry for her. She's tough, always has been. Barry says he's breaking his silence now, because he can't hold it in anymore. Because he needs her to know how much she means to him, and he needs the world to see her the way he does. After 54 years together, Barry wants to give Linda the tribute she's earned. He says she's not just his wife, she's the heart of every song he's ever written, even the ones he didn't admit were about her. Think about how deep is your love, or to love somebody. Those words came from the life they built, from the way she loved him when he didn't deserve it, and stood by him when he was falling apart. She raised their kids, kept their home steady, and never asked for the spotlight, even though she's the reason he could shine in it. Barry calls her his muse, his safe place, the one who made him a better man. He's terrified of a day when she might not be there, but he's also thankful for every minute they've had. 54 years of laughter, tears, and quiet nights that mean more to him than any gold record. He wants Linda to hear this, to know he sees her, really sees her, and he wants everyone else to understand that she's not just Barry Gibb's wife, she's Linda, a woman who's stronger and braver than he'll ever be. As he finishes talking, you can tell he's holding back tears, but there's a little hope in his voice too, like he believes their love can carry them through whatever's next, just like it always has.